What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Breakdown. Today, we are talking about WrestleMania, everything we know so far, and what does this card need to be successful? Let's get into it right now. Well, hey, once again, welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Breakdown. We're going to jump right into this video. Today, we are talking about WrestleMania. What do we know so far? What does this card need? What else is happening, and how can it become the WrestleMania moment that we are looking for? WrestleMania is just over a month away. It's getting really, really close, just a few weeks from now. And so far, the card is starting to shape up really, really well. Let's jump into what we know so far. Straight off the top, let's talk about the night two main event, and that is CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. Of course, Roman won the Royal Rumble, challenged CM Punk because he hates him, and they are competing for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm excited about this match. It is honestly a big match. It is a WrestleMania main event worthy match, and I can't wait to see what happens in it. And it's honestly one of those things, I don't know which way WWE is going to go with this. There's so many possibilities on how this match can play out, and it's exciting when we don't know the outcome, when the outcome doesn't seem as obvious, and maybe it does to you. Personally, I want to see CM Punk win. I want to see that championship reign continue. I want to see him be able to face a Seth Rollins, a Braun Breaker on a big stage. I want to see that continue. And then let's look at maybe having Roman pick up that title down the road. Now, what I do think is if Roman wins, it does elevate the World Heavyweight Championship, and that's what this championship needs. It needs to be elevated. It needs to have a prestigious title history. If they want it to be side by side with the WWE Championship, a Roman Reigns win and title reign could be exactly what it needs. Now, there's the real question around this is less about who wins or who loses, honestly, and what the story is going to be around it. There's so many possibilities with Seth coming back and probably wanting to get into that title hunt. There's so many ways that we can go with how does this thing play out. You know, we saw sort of some shades of a bloodline reunion possibly happening last Monday on Raw. And I'm excited to see what happens with that story going forward. How do the Usos factor into this whole thing? And again, it's just so many possibilities around this story. I do think it is currently the match that I'm looking forward to the most. It is currently the story build and follow-up that I'm looking forward to the most. And I want to see where WWE goes from here. Personally, I have to pick CM Punk if I was picking right now. But again, it's totally 50-50. I am not confident in that going one way or the other. Excited about that main event. We have another big championship match on the Raw side of things, and that is Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer. And this one, unfortunately, has not had as much focused attention in the right ways. Obviously, Liv and Stephanie have been going back and forth in promos and kind of making that story as best they can, but creative just hasn't been behind Stephanie. This reign has been kind of dead from the start. Even the way that she won the vacated title instead of being able to go into a feud with Naomi over this title, it set her up not in the best way. It did not set her up for success. I don't want to say it set her up for failure, but it didn't set her up well. And so now the question is, where do we go from here? And personally, I believe that Stephanie needs a reset. I believe that Liv Morgan should win this championship. I'm pretty confident that she will win this championship. And then I want to see Stephanie Vaquer fight her way up from the bottom. When she was on NXT, she was booked so well. She looked strong, and she also looked vulnerable, which is what you want in a top babyface. Strength and vulnerability. We want to know that they can win it, but we also want to wonder if they can win it, if that makes sense. And so I think a rebuild of Stephanie is in order, and I think she could fight her way back into that title picture and be somebody that we're excited to see on our screens for a long time coming. Now, the question is really Raquel. How does Raquel get involved? Does she help Liv win the title and then the jealousy thing starts to happen? Or does she turn her back on Liv now and align herself with Finn Balor? Who can say? What I know is that Liv and Raquel feud has to happen eventually. It's got to be the thing that we're pointing towards, right? Maybe that's SummerSlam. Maybe it's right out of WrestleMania. Who knows? There's also the Roxanne Perez of it all. Where does she align? There are so many good stories and possibilities coming out of WrestleMania with the Liv Morgan title reign. And I really hope that's the direction that they go. I want to see Liv win this thing, and I want to see Raquel get a world title run this year. I want to see her be the one to take it off of Liv Morgan. And I think that WrestleMania could be the moment that sets that up. All right, let's move over to the SmackDown side with the women's division there. Let's talk about Rhea and Jade. And honestly, of the matches we know are confirmed so far, this one to me feels the least compelling. The promo battles between these two have not been great on either side. Rhea hasn't been great. Jade hasn't been great. It's been very unfortunate. And I think both of these women have potential. They've got the big, strong, powerful look, and it's two powerhouses going one-on-one. But the story just hasn't been there. And unfortunately, the only story for Jade that I have found compelling so far is a potential Jade versus Bianca Belair feud. And that's just not possible right now. Bianca's still not medically cleared. I could see her returning at WrestleMania and starting to set something up then, starting to move towards a SummerSlam feud or something like that. But unfortunately for Jade right now, there's just nobody on SmackDown that is compelling enough for her to feud with. That's why they went with Rhea in the Elimination Chamber, because SmackDown's division can't handle it. And so I'm hoping that out of WrestleMania, if there's anything great that can come out of this Jade Rhea lack of intensity, hopefully it's an awareness that something has to be done, that people have to be built up on the SmackDown side. Maybe it's the right time to call up some talent from NXT. Maybe it's time to utilize talent better on SmackDown. You've got great wrestlers, great female wrestlers who are just not being featured in the right ways. You've got Julia, you've got Candice LeRae. Both of them are incredible in the ring and just haven't been allowed to shine. And in the meantime, you have a Kiana James who's coming up, who's looking strong, but there needs to be development. And unfortunately, there just isn't that level of development. You've got Tiffany Stratton, but we've seen that before. You've got Nia Jax, and we've seen that before. It is time to figure out how to develop this division, how to really establish some credible faces, some credible heels, and make some good stories around these women. All right, let's move on. The next one we've got confirmed is the night one main event. It's Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the WWE Undisputed Championship. And I'm excited about this one. Honestly, I'm excited to see that Randy finally made the heel turn, that he's finally going after Cody, that he's finally going after this championship that he's been eyeing up for what seems like 2-3 years. I know it's only been maybe just over a year or so, but he's been eyeing this championship and just has not done what needs to be done to make the story compelling. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he makes this turn and violently attacks Cody Rhodes. It was a great segment, but it felt so sudden, like we were building something and then we stopped building it, and then all of a sudden it's happening. And I'm excited that it's happening. It should be happening. This is a WrestleMania worthy main event, but the story just has taken such a quick turn that it's hard to digest, properly. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks, they will continue to build this thing up. But the challenge is going to be they've got to get Cody over with the fans. The Randy Orton turn did not get Cody over with the fans. It got Randy over with the fans. It got Randy cheered. It got Randy celebrated. It did not get Cody celebrated. And that's the thing. When they walk into WrestleMania, right now it looks like it's 60-40 in favor of Randy Orton. And the WWE is going to want to try to shift that to be more 70-30 Cody Rhodes. And I think that is going to be a real challenge. At the end of the day, I see Cody retaining here. I don't really want that. Cody Rhodes has not had the right creative behind him either. I'll say that. He feels so stale and so boring as a champion. And their go-to right now is, well, if Cody's not over, let's beat him up, let's bloody him up, and then let's have him overcome the odds. And that should be enough. And it's not enough. It's not enough. Cody Rhodes on an interview recently, I don't remember where it was from, said that he still hasn't figured out who he is yet in the WWE. And yet he wants to be the face of the company. But it is near impossible to carry a company when you can't carry your own identity. It's near impossible to elevate a championship or a show or, like, again, a company when you can't elevate your own brand. And Cody not knowing who he is makes it very difficult for him to be the guy in the driver's seat. He calls himself the quarterback, but he is not a an uncontested QB1. He might be a quarterback, but he's not the guy. When Roman had that championship, he was the guy. He knew who he was. He was the tribal chief, and the tribal chief was carrying the WWE for 4 years. Cody hasn't figured that out yet. And until he figures that out, until he gets that identity, gets himself established, and is able to have a compelling story, he's not gonna be the guy that people wanna see on their TVs every week. He's not gonna be the guy that people wanna go watch other media so they can see more of Cody Rhodes. And so I hope that out of this, Cody figures out who he is. I hope that out of this, there's compelling writing behind Cody, because I believe that he can do it. It just hasn't been done yet. So those are the matches that we've got confirmed so far. And there are a couple others that we suspect will get confirmed here pretty soon. First, we got Tiffany Stratton versus Julia for the U.S. Championship. I think that's going to be a good match, but it needs to be built up bad. I mean, all of a sudden, just last week, they acted as if they had been talking about this. Like, oh, Tiffany wants to come after my title. No one ever said that. I was watching on X and everybody's like, did we miss something? All of us? And I don't remember that. And then later they played an interview with Tiffany talking about wanting the U.S. title. It almost felt like they played him out of order. I don't know if that's what happened or what, but it just felt like out of nowhere this thing is happening. I could see Chelsea Green getting involved in that. She's been on the fringes of that. Kiana obviously could get involved in that, but the story needs a build quickly. Needs to build quickly. And I kind of feel like with Julia, it's the same as Stephanie Vaquer. They haven't featured her in the right way. She's incredible in the ring. They need to build her up. They need to make her into someone that matters. And having the U.S. Championship has not done that for her. So hopefully they will be able to correct that with WrestleMania. Now, the next one is this Brock Lesnar Open Challenge. I want to sit here for just a second and talk about the people that could. Obviously, Seth is one of those guys that could return and challenge Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania because of the Paul Heyman relationship. You've got a guy like Rusev could do it. I mean, I could see Javon Evans challenging Brock Lesnar in an open challenge just because he's the young OG and he wants a fight. But we'll see. The person I think that is going to accept this and what seems to be the favorite is Oba Femi. That makes a lot of sense. And to me, there's a lot of questions around it. And the question is, who is going to win? A lot of people think that Oba should win it because he's too hot right now to take a loss. And then you've got the Brock Lesnar camp that believes that Brock should stay undefeated until his retirement match. I don't know if either extreme is correct. From my perspective is Oba can afford to take a loss if it's the right loss in the right way. And honestly, Brock might be the right loss in the right way, because so far, with the exception of 3 minutes of Rusev, Oba has been dominant. He has destroyed everybody without pause. And Rusev slowed him down a little bit, but ultimately it was still kind of a squash match. What I think could happen here is Oba answers the open challenge from Brock, and in a very competitive match, Brock beats him. And it makes Oba feel like he's vulnerable. And so he's got to kind of go back to the drawing board. He wants to pull back and figure out, am I really as dominant as I think he is? And so he goes back on another run. He goes through the Raw division and is beating people again and getting more and more confident. And then we get to whenever Brock wants to retire. I don't know when that is. And I don't know if Oba should retire him. But eventually, before Brock ever says anything about retiring, we get a rematch between Brock and Oba wins this one. And then that is what makes Brock think, hey, maybe it's time to hang it up. And that begins the Brock Lesnar retirement arc. Personally, I think that's the way to go. You have Brock win in a super competitive match. Then down the road, you get the rematch where Oba wins, and that is the beginning of the Brock Lesnar retirement tour, whatever that looks like. That's the way I would go with it. Personally, I think Oba can afford to take a loss like that. I agree to a certain extent with the Brock Lesnar should remain undefeated until his retirement. I don't think until his retirement match. I think that the next loss begins his retirement run. Let me know what you think about that one. I'm curious to hear your opinions. A couple more, we'll hit them really fast. We've got the Drew McIntyre thing. There are several ways that this could go. It could be Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu, but a lot of people think it could be Drew versus Nick Aldis. If I were to choose, I actually think it would be cooler. It would be better to have Drew McIntyre take on Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis can go in the ring. He is a very storied career. He's a very good wrestler, a very talented competitor, and I would love to see him in the ring again. I think seeing him in the ring with Drew could be good. Drew obviously should win that match and go on to something. The problem with Drew McIntyre is that he is a top tier talent, but there are so many top tier talents that you don't have a lot of space up there for more and more champions. And so I don't know what to do with Drew after that, but I do think it would be awesome to see him take on Nick Aldis. Obviously, that would cost Jacob Fatu a potential WrestleMania spot. I think something else can be figured out for him. He could get involved in the Drew Nick Aldis match. I don't know, but it'd be fun. Either way, I think either of those matches can't go wrong. One of them will be great. Now, we've also know that Jelly Roll is gonna be on the card somehow. I'm not one of those guys that's hating on people having celebrities in their wrestling. It's not my favorite thing, but I think done well and done, sparingly enough that it's good. I could see there's a lot of theories around him being paired up with Royce Keys. I don't know who the opponents are gonna be. I don't know if that's any good. Royce Keys needs something, and I think that this could be the beginning of something if they do it well. Obviously, if it's Royce Keys' debut, then him and Jelly Roll should win and move on from there. Royce Keys just hasn't been featured yet, and again, it's a creative problem, and most of what we see kind of stale in the WWE is a creative problem. So we'll see what happens there. The suspected match that I'm most excited about though has got to be Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor. It is pretty much a foregone conclusion that this match is going to happen. A lot of theories were that it was going to be for the Intercontinental Championship. Obviously, we know that's not the case anymore because Penta has that title now, and so it's just going to be a straight up blood feud, which I think is exactly what this needs. Let's not muddy the waters of why these two are fighting with the championship involved. Let's just have them fight because they were brothers who have turned their back on each other. The real question here is, does the demon return? And I hope not, honestly. I agree. Finn Balor a while back said that the demon had become a crutch. The demon had become what Finn had to do in order to win, and Finn Balor wasn't capable of winning on his own anymore. I want to see regular Finn Balor. I want to see him be rebuilt and put back into a top spot. I think Dominic is going to move into a top spot sooner than later. I think he's got the stuff to be a top guy. And I think that Finn coming up against Dominic in this way could go a long way to rebuild him. Now, personally, unfortunately for Finn Balor, if I was booking this thing, I'd have Dominic win, if Liv's winning as well, and kind of start them on this sort of like Bonnie and Clyde cool bad guy run that I have spinning up in my head. But we'll see what happens. Personally, I think Finn Balor needs the win. Dominic doesn't. But also, I think story-wise, it makes more sense for Dominic to win. He's obviously got the backing of Judgment Day, unless somebody turns on him, unless JD McDonough turns on him, or Roxanne Perez comes back and gets involved, or if Raquel turns on Liv earlier, then she could be aligned with Finn. There's a lot of ways you could go to get Finn this W, but at the end of the day, I really feel like there's more stock behind Dominic, and to me, that makes a lot of sense. So that's kind of what we know, but what do we need to make this thing good? So far, here's a couple of things that I think are missing. Number one is there's not really like a match so far on the card that looks like it's going to be a crazy huge spot fest. Where's that thing? Where's the big multi-man ladder match or 8 tag teams fighting for one thing? Where is that? When is that going to be booked or announced? The big feature match that gets everybody on the show. And I don't know what that's going to look like. It could be something with the women's tag team division. There's quite a bit of competition there right now. And that gets Alexa, Charlotte, Nia Jax. It gets Lash Legend, the Bella Twins. It gets all of them on the show in a way that is significant, that matters, is meaningful if it's for the championship. But I also think that we could be seeing something in the Io Sky, Asuka, Kairi Sane universe being that big spot fest. If they did a triple threat match, it could be really, really good. We know all of these women are great high flyers and strikers. We know that they can put on an absolute banger, and that could be what this card really needs to put some life into it. Speaking of that, we don't have a lot of stipulation matches. So far, all of the matches that have been booked are just one-on-one matches as far as we know. That could change, and I hope it does. It needs to change. We need some stipulations. We need a no DQ match. We need something like that to help make these things more compelling. Because right now we just have a bunch of one-on-one matches booked that need some excitement injected into them. We're missing Seth Rollins. We don't know what's going to happen with him. Obviously, he's feuding with the Vision right now. but Seth versus Logan Paul just doesn't feel like it's it. So I'm really hoping that Braun Breaker comes back in the next week or two. I know it's a long shot, but hopefully both of them can be healthy and compete at WrestleMania. We'll see what happens with the vision there. It's such a bummer, if you will, of how the things with the Vision have gone. There are no original members of the Vision left because they're all injured, and so it's kind of a storyline that has fizzled out because of injuries. And so hopefully they can get that back on track and figure out what to do with Seth and the Vision at WrestleMania. We also need some big returns or some potential debuts. I don't know of anybody that's rumored to debut at WrestleMania, but I do know that we're looking at potentially Braun Breaker returning. And it's highly likely, I think, at this point, that Bianca Belair returns. And so maybe that's where we go with the Jade match. Maybe Jade retains over Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair returns afterwards to kind of start things going with them. The last thing I want to say that I feel like is definitely missing and has to be addressed is Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. I don't want them in a match against each other. I think that's a program for down the road, but both of these guys need to be on the card. Trick Williams is the hottest thing going right now. The way that that man can cut a promo, the way that he can do a backstage segment, go back and watch his segment with Nick Aldis and Jacob Fatu from Friday night. Just watch his facial expressions and his comedic timing and just his timing in general. It is next level. Trick Williams not being at WrestleMania would be an absolute travesty, and it would be cause for some serious uprising, if you know what I mean. And same with Carmelo in a completely different way. This man always puts on bangers, 100% bangers. It's all he knows how to do. I want to see him on the WrestleMania card. I want to see him featured in a big way, a good U.S. title match. Maybe it's an open challenge and we get some insane return or legend coming or something like that that turns into a really good match. That would be really, really good to see. And then you got Penta, the Intercontinental Championship side, and it would be great to have him on the WrestleMania card as well. What I'm hearing is that both nights are going to have about 7 matches, so there's room for 14. And so I'd love to see those guys featured in some of those matches. But that's kind of what we got going on right now. We know now what we know. We know what we suspect. We know what we feel like is needed. So let me know in the comments, who do you think's winning these matches? Who do you think is coming out of WrestleMania with more momentum? And let me know in the comments what you think this WrestleMania needs to really get back on track. Here's the deal. We're less than 4 weeks away. We're in the heat of it. We're on the road to WrestleMania, and we're getting closer and closer to the day that it happens, and we're running out of time to create new, compelling stories. So what they've got to do is figure out how to pour gasoline on some of these slow-burning fires that they've been doing and really make them feel exciting. But anyway, that's all I got for today. Thanks for hanging out with me on the Pro Wrestling Breakdown. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Just hit those buttons down below. Let's chat in the comments. And don't forget, if you aren't already, follow me over on X at PW Breakdown. We will see you next time.